Well,
I look at who ran for governor in the last election.
right.
Did nobody think the person had a chance? So it's like we gave up for governorship.
Right. I mean, I think the issue is, and certainly I can talk about it because I'm going through this. I mean, one of the things you have to do, the party has to do, or candidates have to do, that if you're going to be serious, if you're going to actually have a chance to win, you got to be at least in a position to get your message out. You got to have some name recognition. You got to be able to raise the funds to get your message out in order to convince voters to vote for you. And if you're in a position where you just can't do that, or the candidate, like I said in the last cycles or so, we've not run competitive candidates, then you start out in so far behind, it's hard to catch up. So, I think capacity to raise funds is going to be important in this race. You know that some of the Republicans, I mean, they've been quoted as saying they'll spend whatever it takes, 15, 20 million to do this. So it's difficult. I don't think you have to compete necessarily dollar for dollar. There are other ways to do things, but this is going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I understand that. Yep.
Greg mentioned
I think
this
it's
area
really
that he's also going to run. What makes you different from him and make him vote for you? On top of that, will you bring Amazon's second headquarters here, or will Toyota be here?
That's what I wanted to ask too.
And will you oppose to breaking the mega site down to an industrial site?
Okay, three questions. All right. In terms of Representative Fitzhugh, I'm not really, he is a good man and has done good service for the state, and I'm happy he's in, it's good for him to be in the race. I don't know that it's about me comparing myself to him. That's for the voters to decide. And I'll leave it at that. In terms of Amazon, look, Amazon, Memphis is interested in Amazon. I think Nashville is interested in Amazon. There are probably, I saw the list of cities, I didn't count them, there are probably 30 or more. I mean, they range from Chicago, Toronto, to, places all over. I don't know, I'm obviously not involved any longer in that, so I don't know exactly what their standards are and what they're looking for. Tennessee will have an appeal to them, I think, because, they are the ultimate distribution company. We are in the center of the country. We have great access to transit in terms of rail, water, and air. FedEx in Memphis being probably the world's best example. They will have their criteria. They will look at what is, what is being offered to them in terms of incentives, I believe, but I haven't read what they're asking for, and they'll make a decision. I certainly would love to see them come to Tennessee. It'd be good if they came to Tennessee, but we'll see what happens. That's going to be very competitive, very competitive. And then the third question was, would I break up the mega site?
To an industrial site, instead of making it like Amazon or Toyota majority, what would you break it down?
Well, I
to
think
smaller?
I think the idea, and I think the work that has been done there is for it to be a mega site where it would attract a Toyota type project, which would be sort of an ideal project, I would think, for that area. And so, right now I would say, we stay the course. And that's a decision that I wouldn't, you'd certainly make after consulting, certainly with local people and everybody involved. But, as I understand it, there are things going on, and the mega site, its potential as being a site that can encompass a very large project right now is extremely attractive. And there are very few places like that available in the southeast, so that I think it's an asset. My goal would be, if I was governor and the mega site had not been built upon yet, that it would be, as I mentioned, it'd be right there at the top of things that I would work on and try to make happen. I can do one more question, I'm being told. Yes.
Oh, wait, I'm not a question person, but I do have some questions. In regards to the minimum wage, how do you feel about that?
I think the minimum wage is too low. I don't know the reality of having the legislature change that right now, but I think it's too low.
And then how do you feel about the rights of women on their medical say-so?
I think the government should have the relationship of a woman and her doctor is not one for the government to show up and should not intervene.
I think I'm riding off the back of the medical marijuana. How about the criminalization of it? How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
With the state overriding
Yeah.
Memphis and Nashville.
Because Colorado, I did a research paper for high school. Colorado has poured in tons of money off of it. They've actually overcome their debt deficit in order to go ahead and start putting in more drug prevention. There's limits to what age you can buy it at. And overall, the state's just gone up in their money category.
Well, at this point, here's my position on marijuana. On medical marijuana, I think that we should be guided by the medical profession, just as if we were looking at other potential prescription drugs, that if there is a sound medical reason for its usage, that it should be made legal, and we should be guided by the medical profession and what the experts say. I mean, that's how I would approach that. To me, if there is someone suffering, someone's hurting, and there is sound scientific medical opinion that says that suffering can be relieved, I wouldn't want to stand in the way of that happening. I am not in favor of legalizing marijuana for recreational uses this time. And
How about just decriminalizing it? Right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
well, I think one of the things we need to do, I mean, I think you can look at different things. I mean, certainly, I think one of the things we have to do is look at, in terms of how it affects someone's record and how that can be looked at in a reasonable way, not to ruin someone's life. But to me, when you start working on the criminal code, what you really need to do is do what they did in the late 1980s when they revised the criminal code, is you need to have a state commission that looks at all the ramifications of changing the law, and actually, this is about governing again, builds a consensus where there's support to do that. And that has to be done, I think, through an organized effort such as a state commission to look at laws such as that and whether there's a better way to enforce those drug laws as it relates to marijuana.
So have you already talked about privatizing criminal institutions, penal institutions?
No,
And the appropriateness of that?
yeah, I mean, I think we've, it's not something that I would want to see it expanded.
Would you like to see it contracted?
Well, I think we have to look at the budget and see how that would go, but I would certainly not be in favor of being expanded.
So that commission you were speaking of, would that include Corrections Corporation of America as part of the commission?
No, probably not. I mean, I'm not naming the commission members. It might be the,
Or any other organizations that are interested in having a population?
No, I mean, I think what I would be thinking of is something akin to what was done, this is showing my age and my former profession as a public defender, that was done when the legislature looked at the laws and went through a systematic way of analyzing and the costs related to each change, and heard from a whole variety of people. But the commission itself, I think you want people who are interested in criminal justice issues and are experts in that area, is what I would think. But we're a long ways from appointing those members, and it wouldn't be, I would assume if that happens, there'd be members from the legislature and maybe a couple members selected by the governor's office. I get what I know where you're
I
coming
have
from.
a lot more questions about that, but,
But you were late.
We got a meeting in Memphis that we have to get to, and so we need to leave.